You're live.
Preparing to live stream. Are we actually live?
Well, it says live. I think this is the part where they can see us, but we can't see them, or we don't know where we are.
Or we don't know where we are. Oh, yes, I think we are live.
All right.
Yes, I'm going to go back to Zoom now. Always forget how to do this. Okay, from up here. No, that's not it.
Down below. It is online.
There we are. I hope we're coming through okay. Sharon, I think you're monitoring this. If we're getting double speak or anything like that, text me, except I just turned off my phone. Let me turn my phone back on again. Jayne, you know, I haven't done one of these in a couple of months. So
I know I'm worried about that.
As opposed to you, who is just a little bit of a Zoom slut.
I have discovered that if you put a microphone and a camera in front of me, I turn out to be the actress I never knew I was.
It's so darn funny. Because, okay, so here's, you know, I promised all of you that we were gonna get real today. The first time before everybody was doing Facebook Live and I was doing Facebook Live, we're going into, what town is it where Nora has her bookstore? It's that beautiful little town in Maryland where Nora Roberts has her bookstore. We're doing a signing there and we're having breakfast at Nora's Inn, which was just absolutely phenomenal. And I say, I'm putting us on Facebook Live. And Missy goes, oh, no. She was all nervous about it. And now, man, you are leaving all of us in your dust with all these interviews.
It's probably a side effect of the pandemic. I'm just lonely. It's like, come and talk with me. Somebody come and chat with me.
Right before when we were just testing to see where we were, I was commenting on those covers, the Amanda Quick covers.
Yeah.
The covers, every one of these covers has been better than the last.
They don't come through so good on the Zoom thing because they're kind of glossy in real life. Yeah. But they really are very glamorous.
My favorite might be, is Tightrope the one where she's got like beads going down her back?
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think it's just that the artist is having a field day with the 1930s aura of glamour. And it kind of gives her permission to go for glamour and go for that larger than life sparkle and stuff. You and I were just commenting, we don't see that so much on serious contemporary books. They're more
right, yeah. Well, and the thing is, I mean, nobody else is doing covers like that. And the art department, I'm sure, gets tired after a while of doing the same old clinch covers for historical romance, and you know, being able to really try something new and beautiful is really cool. So Tuesday, happy publication day. This is Friday, 3 days past.
Yeah.
And this is the latest in your Burning Cove series, number 5, right?
Right. I never thought the series would go this long, but it seems to be rolling. I'm having a great time with it. I think it really, you know, I got into the Regency years ago,
right?
Because I felt comfortable with the image of the Regency romance, which is that clever repartee, and it's very dialogue driven, or at least traditionally was very dialogue driven. And I'm a very dialogue driven writer. I hate writing narrative. I don't know how to do narrative. I just have to go.
We're not supposed to confess that, but I'm with you, babe. I'm with you.
Yeah, and you are also a dialogue driven writer. And so when I went looking for a new world for my historicals, you know, as soon as my editor and I were chatting about it, and as soon as one of us said 1930s, I thought, bingo, that fits too. The 1930s of the glamorous side of California Hollywood is what I am doing. I want to emphasize this is not Dust Bowl 30s. This is not East Coast old money 30s. This is everything that the studios were selling of California in the 30s. That image from the movies is what I'm doing. I love playing with it.
Yeah, that kind of thing from those movies.
Yeah.
You're hitting on.
You know, you watch those old films and the dialogue is just so crisp and sharp and snappy, and they just don't write them like that anymore. I know everybody complains about that, but that's the fun of that era, and it's fun doing it in the books.
Well, sometimes when writers and filmmakers approach that era, it's for the noir, and you
Yeah,
took the opposite side with
yeah.
that.
I went for the glamour.
This series seems like with every new book, it's gaining steam and finding new readers. I mean, the series is really popular. I know how you are. After a while, you decide you're going to try something new. You are locked in, babe, on this one for quite a while, I think, don't you?
I think it took a while for people to discover the books because they aren't used to seeing romantic suspense in the 1930s. There's not a lot of other novels being written in that period, or if they are, they tend to focus on the war or the upcoming war and things like that. So I wasn't sure if readers were going to be able to make the leap. You know, there is a image of the historical novel, the historical romance is kind of locked into 19th century UK usually, and this was California and lots later, but probably Downton Abbey and a few of the other.
Got people ready for it.
Yeah, I think that they began to see the early 20th century as a fictional historical fantasy setting that they could enjoy.
Yeah. Now here's one thing. By the way, Jayne and I have not been able to read this yet. I don't have. Did you send me a copy, or am I going to have to buy it? Which I'm happy to do. But
I don't think I sent one. I just want to see what kind of friend you are.
yeah, I bought the last, and I'm going to buy this one, and she's going to have to buy mine too because she hasn't read it yet. So I'm going in on this a little bit blind. But as I recall, in terms of, if any of you were there watching this from the UK, I suck in the UK. I just have a very small reading audience there. My books have never really caught on there. I think it's because I'm too nice, and British humor has a little more bite to it. I'm just saying, you all are free to defend yourself. But as I remember, Jayne Ann Krentz kind of sucks in the UK too, doesn't she? And Amanda is huge. Do I have that right, or did I reverse? Did I just throw your UK career down the toilet?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was actually doing pretty well there
with both names.
Yeah, so maybe we should just change the topic now before you get me in any more hot water with my UK publisher.
That is just really irritating. Okay, it's really irritating.
But then you are huge in Germany.
I love Germany. That is my big market. I'm a lot bigger than you in Germany.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, there you go. But how has
not that we're keeping score already?
Oh no, friends don't do that. Friends just support each other. So has this Burning Cove series caught on in the UK? Because it seems to me it would really go well there.
I don't know. I mean, it is a California West Coast story. You know, it's not a UK story in that sense.
I think the UK would, I don't know. I just feel like this, of all of your books, it seems to me, well, of course they like the Amanda UK books too, but it just seems to me that British readers would really go for this setting and this glamour. So you don't know yet, really.
Well, so the series seems to have caught an audience, so I'm happy about that, and we'll just see. But I think it's working.
Yeah. And if you from the UK who are watching this, either comment or email me or email Jayne and let us know how this Amanda Quick series is going there, because I don't know. I just have really good feelings about this. And for Pete's sake, this series is ripe for Netflix. But don't sell it to anybody who really isn't going to get it and do the whole glamour thing. Don't sell it cheap. Make sure they're going to do the whole thing. That's my advice.
It's not a series that could be done on the cheap. It wouldn't work.
Yeah. No, you have to have the costumes and the cars and the right houses to get that 30s kind of glamour. So,
well, the great thing is the sets are all there. 1930s California architecturally is still very much in place.
Yeah, it sure is.
Netflix,
and great community. Anyway, if anybody's out there from Netflix, for Pete's sake, this series is just ripe for it. Also, I want to jump to something. So I looked in, because I haven't had a chance to read this book yet, which of course I will. there's something specific I want to talk about, but first, tell us a little bit about the hero and heroine, because the heroine really first appears, she has a walk-on role in Close Up, right? In the previous one. She's sister of the heroine of that book.
Yes, she's sister of the heroine in Close Up.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's determined to flee her her frivolous social butterfly life back in San Francisco and find her calling. And she's decided she was called to be a private investigator. So she goes to work. She has absolutely no experience in this, but she goes to work for Raina Kirk, who is the town's only private eye.
Yeah, yeah. She was Raina the heroine of the first Burning Cove book?
Raina has always been a side character, but a very strong one. She and Luther Pell, who owns the town's hottest nightclub, are a couple. And they're kind of like the core characters, the anchor characters of the stories, if you will. And they didn't start out that way, but they've been building toward that. I just find myself attracted to them. And then there comes a point where you want to know more about them. And that's what this book was kind of doing. Because what happens is 3 days into the job, our heroine, Lyra, her boss just ups and disappears on her. All of a sudden, Lyra's the only one that can find her.
Oh, that's going to be good. Yeah. So we don't have Raina's story yet.
You get part of it in this one. I don't think we need all of their histories. Because she and Luther Pell have a difficult past. Both of them have a difficult past, but that's why they can understand each other. And they have a kind of silent bond that just, they don't have to say all the words. They understand where each is coming from. So I don't know how much more we'll see in terms of their past, but I think they're always going to be in the books because they're, like I said, they're kind of anchor characters.
Yeah, they are through the way through. Well, so the first, I want to talk about your lead sentence in this book and talk a little bit about the writing technique behind this. So the first sentence in this book is, Charles, this is the first sentence, you open it. This is what a master does. Charles Adlington was in the process of trying to drown his wife in the pool when Lyra Brazier walked into the walled garden behind the mansion. That's why you are where you are, girlfriend. That's a great opening sentence.
Well, you have the great opening sentences too. I think we both jump in at a point where we're excited.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's why we've learned not to put everything up front because we're bored with that part already. Yes,
we are. Yeah, and this is what I wanted to lead into. And my favorite saying is, if you've ever gone to one of my writing workshops, I always say, if you're a new writer, I know I've never read your books, but I'm telling you right now, throw out chapter 1. Because new writers tend to put so much backstory in. And we've learned over the course of time that backstory has to be woven in gradually through those first few chapters. And
I like your advice not to tell the reader until the reader absolutely has to know it.
Did I ever tell you about the hissy fit I got into with a young writer years and years ago? I was at the RWA conference and I was talking about, the whole issue with backstory and not loading chapter 1. And she got in my face. She said, but the reader needs to know this. And I said, yes, but they don't need to know it right in the first chapter. She couldn't get that. And
really?
No, she couldn't get it. And she couldn't understand why her book wasn't selling. Why nobody would publish it.
What would have been an interesting experience or a follow-up there would be to have her tell you what book she read last and enjoyed the most.
Oh, yeah.
To see if she really wants that when she reads, or if it's something she is doing to herself. But when she opens a book, what does she want to see on the page?
Right. That would be good. And as I say this, When Stars Collide is, in terms of every book I write is hard. That book was less hard. I did less whining about When Stars Collide than some of my other books. The book I'm doing now, I have just torn apart chapter 1 for, I think, the 5th time. I dumped so much backstory, and I knew it couldn't stay there, but I was just paralyzed. I couldn't go on until I put it all there. So the follow-up advice I give is, if you want to dump all that in chapter 1 while you're working, go ahead and dump it. Just know that it has to move out of there before you're done. So that's, I took, I don't know, 5 or 6 pages out of that chapter and putting just bits and pieces in other chapters. I think that worked pretty well.
Well, with Stars Collide, When Stars Collide, that comes out when?
That comes out on June 29th. So everybody can pre-order it right now. Yeah. And that's
another Stars book.
That's another Stars book. And this book is the story of the diva and the quarterback. And I can remember calling you, Jayne, and I'm laughing on the phone. I'm saying, I got this idea. The opera diva and the quarterback. And you laughed at the right place, thank goodness.
So where did you start the book? What am I going to see on the first page?
It is, you're going to meet the hero on the first page, and you're going to see the hero through the heroine's point of view. You're going to see him in the window of the private plane because they're getting ready to go out on this tour to promote this luxury watch. And you're going to see him looking out the window and seeing this limo pull up. And as he says, like 357 suitcases being unloaded from the limo. So that's kind of the setup to the diva as she gets on the plane and gives him the stink eye for sure. Because she has a grudge against him. This is pure rom-com, Chicago Stars. It was a really fun follow-up for me after writing Dance Away With Me, because Dance Away With Me was a little more serious, a little more women's fiction. Loved that book, but then I was ready to get back to doing more romantic comedy. So I kind of shift back and forth sort of between the standalones and maybe a Wynette, Texas book or a Chicago Stars book. You do that shifting by changing your personas, right?
Yeah, I change names, and when I do that, I change worlds. I change, not worlds so much, but fictional landscapes. You do too, because if you do a Stars book, that's tricky to take out of Chicago. This was a very clever way you found by sending your heroine and hero.
Sending on a world tour. Yeah, on the plane. They're all over the place. Okay, I promised readers I was going to ask you the hard question. So you ready for another one? Tell us. Okay. We promise we will not tell anyone. Do you prefer writing as Amanda Jane Castle or Jayne Ann Krentz? Oh, watch. She's going to dodge this question. I know she will. Go ahead.
I told myself back at the start, I would pick, I like all three of them and love all three of them. And I told myself I'd pick the one that was working. And then they all three worked. And I was thinking of paring back. I didn't do a Jane Castle actually for a couple of years now, although there's a new one coming out in November. But I think it turned out to be my saving grace, because when I do come out of one world, I'm ready for a fresh environment, and that just means stepping into another name and another history, a period of history, and another setting. So it's actually worked very well to keep me refreshed.
Yeah.
How about you?
This short extensions, your short attention span is really coming into effect here. Yeah, I can remember, I mean, we have known each other at least 20 years, probably longer than that. And I can remember various attempts you've made to kill off one of your careers, just because it is a lot of work keeping up with these three. And every time you try to kill one off, you hit on an idea like, let's take Amanda into the 1930s, and then bam, you've got another success with it. So that is kind of cool.
Well, it has served me well in terms of keeping me feeling fresh about the work and really love it. I've tried a couple of times to do series with continuing characters. Usually a kind of a couple team that solves crimes, and kind of a classic sort of mystery.
Like Nora's done, yeah.
Or countless others, but I can't do it. I can't keep having stuff happen to the main characters that has to be fixed, because I already fixed it back in book one. It's like I just don't have whatever it takes to write that continuing couple all the way through. So this was my answer to that.
Right.
of creating a
taking
series.
the readers into a familiar landscape. Some of the characters they already know, but I know what you mean because I'm always getting requests to write another book about Phoebe and Dan with the Chicago Stars or one of those Chicago Stars couples. I have left them at a happy place. And if I write another book about them, I have to destroy their lives again. I honestly cannot do that.
I think that's, well, I know that's what got in my way. That's
Yeah.
what, I can't keep introducing problems when I've already, like you said, left them in a happy place.
And then I get a lot of requests to write about the children of these characters. But one of the things I love writing about is I love writing about women who have no support system and have to make it on their own. And pulling them, these children of these couples have a strong support system. I got around that in Call Me Irresistible with Meg Coranda because her parents had basically said, you know, they had been financing her on all these world journeys and sort of drifting around. They said, okay, kid, this is it. They cut off the purse strings. So that, you know, I got around that, but you can't do that every time. Another tough question. Are you ready? Do you write with a bra or without a bra?
Oh, who writes with a bra?
Thank you. You see my reference?
Yeah.
All right, I gave you a little heads up on this question and it backfired on me. And this was who your first fictional book boyfriend was. And what was your original answer?
And I said, well, I grew up on Nancy Drew, so I'm not.
It's true. And then
you said,
I said, no, that's my book. Well, no, you said Nancy Drew. And I said, oh, I'm so asking you that question. And then you went, oh, no, wait, what was her boyfriend? She couldn't remember Ned's name. If you can't remember Ned's name, you do not deserve him. He's mine.
I'll take the car.
Or the horse. I thought you would come up with a horse, honest to Pete.
Nancy had a great car.
She did have a great car. And by the way, it was Ned Nickerson is his name.
Ned Nickerson.
Now but you were reading all those horse books when you were younger. You weren't reading, like you weren't doing Rosamund Garden and all those. Were you the little teen romances that I loved?
I don't think they were on our bookmobile. They probably were not considered
Literature.
Mm-hmm. What we had on the bookmobile was because we're a very small town and they were all pre-selected. So I remember a lot of Jack London, a lot of animal books.
With male protagonists.
And at least I went for the dogs. They were all, I always had
a, did.
Yeah. I didn't care about the guys. In hindsight, I realized that my early childhood reading was very carefully vetted. And I didn't know there was anything else out there because all I could see was what was on the bookmobile, and somebody was making sure we got all the right stuff. So no, I did not see any teen romances. What were you reading?
I was reading Rosamund Dujardin had these, the Pam and Penny were twins. I loved those books. You know, the Sue Barton senior nurse books. I read some of the horse books, but I wasn't a horse person. But I remember so many girlfriends were. How many young readers got sucked into the world of books because of the horse books or because of the teen dating books? You know, both ways. So let's fast forward to high school. What were you reading in high school? Do you remember? Because you were probably reading adult books by then.
I was reading science fiction, but it was the kind of science fiction that was, I think, what they call space opera today. It was the early Robert Heinlein, but my very favorite science fiction author was Andre Norton. And she was doing science fiction with a strong psychic vibe. And I just glommed onto that. And to this day, if you read my books, you know, I often play with the psychic vibe. I love that. I love that. It isn't just the woo thing. I love that sense of another connection, of another layer of bonding or connection, either with another character or with a hero or heroine, or that sense of awareness and observation that goes one step beyond. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, you do that well, because that's not my favorite thing, but I always like it when you do it. That extra sensory thing. It's not like we've got aliens floating around or anything like that. That works for me. So high school, did you have boyfriends in high school, or were your boyfriends all in the books?
Yeah, it was all the books. It
Me
was a
too.
very small school. The selection would have been, there were 16 in my graduating class.
Oh, wow. I did not know this. You had no selection. So I went to a school where there were 500 in the graduating class, and I still didn't have a boyfriend. So it was the
There you
biggest
go.
loser.
I made it pretty much to college without one too. So maybe there's just,
Me too, kind of.
maybe our standards were too high. I don't know.
You know, I've thought about that a little bit. And I think in high school that I kind of wanted the high school boys to be as dashing as the heroes in the books I was reading. I had a sister. I didn't have a brother. I didn't have, because of the way we moved, I didn't have neighborhood boys that I knew. I really didn't know teen boys, and I wanted them to be dashing. And if I got in their faces, to come back and think, oh, she's adorable, despite the fact that she's acting like a total bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a problem for teen boys. They don't really.
I know, now that I've had 2 boys and have a teen grandson. Yeah, I think the fictional boyfriends were actually quite a bit more interesting.
So what were you reading then by the time you hit high school?
I think I was reading Anya Seton, all of those big historical sagas.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah, you're
When
right.
Bristows had a book called Celia Garth, Jubilee Trail. I remember Anya Seton's Dragonwyck, where the heroine is married to the guy who's evil. And that book never worked for me because I wanted him not to be evil. I wanted that dark, because the good guy is the hero, the town doctor, or the village doctor. And he had no personality to me. I wanted that evil, villainous husband to be actually the hero of the book in some way, shape, or form.
I seem to recall that was a flaw.
It was a flaw in the book. But those sweeping sagas, historical sagas, they just sucked me in when I was in high school.
We don't see them anymore. They were long.
Outlander is the closest I think we've got, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. Those and the early historical romances were really long books. I mean, I remember in paperback, some of those early historical romances. They were like 600 pages.
Oh, yeah.
In paperback, yeah. And you don't see that so much. That's an oddity now to see a book that long.
It is. And I remember with those historical romances, I mean, I loved the history in them, but it was that love story that pulled me in. And so when I finally discovered Kathleen Woodiwiss and Rosemary Rogers and Joanna Lindsay, all those really early historical writers, that was it from then on.
No, I hear you. It was just, it really changed the whole fictional landscape, at least for women readers.
It did.
Yeah, they were the first books that you could count on to put the woman at the heart of the story.
Yes.
And it's always her journey and her adventure, and she got everything she wanted in the end.
But she had to fight for it. She had to fight the villain and the hero and what other natural or societal elements were around her. That's what I loved. I loved the fact that in those, it doesn't play well now, just because where we are in our thinking, and not just me too, but the way we think now. But at that time, I loved the idea that she didn't have the hero at her back. She was going to have to do it on her own. And he was then going to have to become as worthy and strong as she was.
Yes, he had to prove himself worthy of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was more to those books than people realized looking back at it.
Oh, so much more. But we knew it as readers.
Yeah, yeah.
The academics and critics didn't know it, but we knew it.
No, it was, I mean, just look at the books that supposedly became the American canon. in literature. And the few women who were on there were doing very masculine style fiction. You know, I mean, that's your competition.
They were
But one of the
men's
things,
stories. They were men's stories. I mean, you look at Hemingway, and they were men's stories.
Yep.
I still get pissed about it to this day. See, I'm getting all ratcheted up again.
I do too. I do too. One of the interesting things about the 19th century is that Gothic novel that was invented in the 19th century by women and read voraciously, actually, by both sexes, but especially by women. That Gothic novel is become a classic genre. And right now there's a huge resurgence in it. My theory is genres never go
Right.
away, they just ebb and flow, and they get reinvented for each new generation. And man, they are hot right now.
Yeah.
But they're calling them psychological suspense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I played with that when I did Heroes Are My Weakness. I didn't, it wasn't as much psychological suspense as taking exactly those elements of the classic Gothic with the woman's, you know, with the haunted house and the cave where she's trapped and all that kind of thing, and putting it into contemporary. That was so much fun to do. I think older readers who knew those early Mary Stuart Gothics and Phyllis Whitney and Victoria Holt appreciated that.
Then you may have been the one that relaunched it, because the book started getting, the Gothic trend, I think, started just a few years ago.
Yeah, I think it did too. Yeah.
Maybe you were the launcher.
Or maybe I was just one step too early. And either way. Well, before we cut off, I want to remind readers that that Jayne's or Amanda's new Burning Cove series, The Lady Has a Past, is on sale now. That When Stars Collide is available pre-sale. And I got a text before we started from Assistant Sharon, and she said the Dance Away With Me ebook sale, which was supposed to end last week, it's still on sale for $1.99, which is way too cheap. So if you haven't read the ebook version in the US of Dance Away With Me, it is on sale now. Also, if we've been ignoring your questions, it's because we can't see them, because we're actually looking at Zoom. If you have any comments you want, questions you'd like answered, leave them on my Facebook page and we will get to them. And I think Assistant Sharon has also been posting links in the comments to get to the various books. Jayne, it was so nice talking to you again. Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Yes, we'll see you all soon, and goodbye, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.